Hi, today we're going to do a little bit of lateral flexion. So lots and lots of focus on our waist. Okay, so we're going to start standing on the mat. I want you to think about what we've been learning about lateral flexion and where it comes from. So I really want you to have this focus on how your ribs part on the side that you're laterally flexing away from. So we're going to begin with one arm coming up. If that's difficult for you, you can always keep the arm out to the side. You can always keep your hands by your sides, but ideally up towards the ceiling. We're going to take the other hand onto the waist, feet hip socket width apart. And you're going to take a mindful inhale, and as you exhale, we laterally flex across. Coming across to this side. All the way back up, and we switch sides. Arm comes up, laterally flex across to the other side. Now, things that I want you just to be thinking about as we repeat this a few times is that the space between the throat, or at the throat, between your chin and your chest, but also that there is no more space on one side of the head than the other. So in other words, when you come across, you don't want to drop one ear, you don't want to be lifting one ear. So you're trying to keep the head nice and centered. And on this next one, we're going to come up and over and pause. Now we're going to take a little quarter turn forwards, and then I'm going to push my bottom out a little so that it's more of a hinge and a reach. Come back with a little curve of the tail to lateral flexion, and come all the way back up and over. And again, we come up. You're going to laterally flex. Remember, we part the ribs up and over. I'll take a little quarter turn of the upper body, and then almost like push my tail away and lift my seat bones up so that I'm pushing almost my bottom out. Get a little hamstring stretch. Curl the tail a little, all the way back up and over. I'm going to do a couple standing to the side. So the arm comes up, laterally flex to the side, a little quarter turn. I feel that stretch through the low part of the back. And then I pull my seat bones upwards and take a stretch forwards. Then I curl the tail and come all the way back up and over. And again, last one, bringing it up. We laterally flex over, a little quarter turn, almost a pulling up of the seat bones as we reach, and then a curl of the tail as we bring it all the way back and down. Now slowly from there, I'm going to create a little bit of length at the back of the neck, start to round all the way forwards, and we're going to come down into a little box position. And that box position is going to take us into a nice little elbow plank. So I'm going to come down one elbow, come down to the other elbow, and carefully walk my knees out, keeping my shoulders over my elbows. And we just find that nice little plank position. Keep length in the spine, length through the neck, hold and breathe. This might be enough for you. But if you can, we're going to make it a little side plank. So I'm going to bring one elbow a little more underneath me, roll a little to the side, just make sure you're comfortable with this underside arm, and keep that sensation of lift through my waist. And then slowly all the way back, don't rush it, find your nice little modified elbow plank, and then I reposition slightly my new underneath arm. Make sure that that elbow is comfortable, rolling onto my side, lifting my waist, and we find that little elbow plank, one-sided, all the way back, hold, and then slowly from there, walking my hands all the way back. I'm going to tuck the toes underneath and upside down V, spike my seat bones again, so we're trying to get a little bit of a hamstring stretch. Walk the hands back and slowly restack low back, middle back, upper back, and eyes. So we're going to repeat with our side bending again. Arm comes up, hand can come over, come up to come over. Really feel that lateral flexion. And this time, as I take a little quarter turn forwards, I'm going to come all the way down, then all the way back up. Open, 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 and bring it all the way back down. We'll do exactly the same on the other side. So arm comes up, we laterally flex across. Remember that's coming from ribs parting. A little quarter turn forwards. Anchor your feet. Circle all the way down and around, and then all the way back on a reverse journey where you've come from, all the way up and down. Really getting that spine moving. We'll do one more each side. So we laterally flex to the side, a little quarter turn, really feeling my seat bones pulling up towards the ceiling. The reverse journey, exactly the same. You can lift your eyes a little if you wish, and all the way back down. And again, laterally flexing to the other side. Starting a little quarter turn, bringing it all the way round, 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 round. And as you come up, you can lift those eyes, if you wish, all the way down and back to standing. This time, we're going to make it a full plank. So if you would rather leave the planks out, you might just carry on laterally flexing or repeat with your elbow plank. So this time we're going to roll down again, carefully. And I'm going to step one foot back. Now remember that feeling with your wrists, pulling the forearm out of the wrist, spread the weight through all 10 fingers, and here we are into our plank position. Feel that sensation in your waist, that your waist is very active. Now from there, if we can, we reposition one hand underneath us, spin the feet around. Remember that feeling of your waist really holding and lifting you. And we're going to bring that arm all the way up. And then slowly bring your hand back down, spin it around, reposition so we find the full plank. Reposition the new hand, spin the feet around. Remember that feeling of the top side of your waist being long and lengthened and the underside is shortened as you bring that arm all the way up, holding and breathing. Could we do one more of these each side? Center, spin and lift. Shorten that waist. And again, back down and down. Center, spin, lift and all the way back up. Hand comes down. Whenever you're ready, carefully find one knee coming down, other knee comes down. You can take a little rest if you feel you need to. And then slowly restack low back, middle back, upper back and eyes. Something I'm really keen on at the moment is just to add in that little cheeky ankle stretch. Lift one, lift the other. So it's your thigh bones, lift and lift. Feel those ankles getting a little bit of a stretch. The top of your foot. Does one lift higher than the other? Maybe you've been practicing these. Lifting and lifting and lifting and lifting. So I'm just going to spin this around so that you can see a different angle. Lift, lift, lift. I'm trying to keep the upper body absolutely still. And then we can lift up, tuck toes, press down, lift up, tuck, sit, lift, tuck, push down, all the way up and down. Last one, lift up, tuck, push down, coming all the way up, and we're going to come onto our knees now. So, exactly the same, we're going to laterally flex again. So I want you to bring your arm up, exactly as you did a moment ago, and you're going to laterally flex across to the side. All the way back and down. Arm up, laterally flex inside. Remember the space between your chin and your chest. All the way back. We could make it slightly more challenging. Hands over the forehead. Use the ribs parting away from each other as your guide. And again, pubic bone a little forwards. Laterally flex across to the side. So on the next one, we're going to add a little bit to this. So we're going to laterally flex across to the side and hold. Now I'm going to take my hand down. If you feel that you need blocks or books or cushions or towels underneath, please take. And you're going to bring that hand down. Feel how this underside leg pops up and reach that leg all the way out. Your top hand will come onto your top hip just for now. Now from here, if we can, we flatten this hand down. And And if that's okay for you, I want you to imagine that you shorten your underside waist so much that you could almost lift that underside knee off. Holding and breathing. Feel how shortened you are in the waist. And then slowly from there, you're going to bring it all the way up, 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 up. And bring yourself up and over to have a lovely little stretch the other way. I'm going to do exactly the same on the other side. So we'll begin just with our knees directly underneath our hip sockets, pubic bone forwards. We're going to laterally flex across to the side. Remember, we did it this way initially, hand possibly on hip, hand coming down. To make it more challenging, hand over hand on your forehead. Pubic bone is still forwards. And you're going to laterally flex across to the side. Feel that underside waist shortening. Now, if all feels well in that position, laterally flex and pause. Now we take the underside arm down. Feel how you're shortening, shortening, shortening through the underside waist. You just pop that top knee and reach the leg out. If you can, you're going to come all the way down onto that hand. You might want your underside waist lifted and your hand onto your top hip. Holding and breathing. Now imagine that you could lift that underside knee. Imagine that you could shorten so much on your waist that you could lift the knee off. And then slowly from there, use your waist to bring it all the way back up and over. Stretching, stretching, stretching. And all the way back. And we're going to switch sides again. So, hand over hand if that's comfortable for you. Lateral flexion. Underside hand comes down, knee pops up, outstretched leg, push the pubic bone forwards. Now if you can, I'm going to take my hand behind my head. If that's difficult for you, perhaps to here, perhaps to here. But if you can, behind the head, your hand is going to flatten. And do you remember that sensation of trying to lift the underside knee? Bear in mind that your outstretched foot is flat and pretty much big toe is in alignment with this knee. And then slowly from there, imagine shortening that waist and popping that underside foot away. Hold and breathe. Then bring it all the way back down again. Pause. If all feels well, lift the leg and lower. Lift the leg and lower. Just 4 of these. Lift your leg and lower. Keep pushing your pubic bone forwards. Lift and lower. And on this next one, we're going to lift and hold. Kick a little forwards, kick a little back, kick a little forwards, kick a little back. You can flex, you can point. One more flex and point. Now if you can, we move into the bicycle, bending the knee and reach forwards, kick it back. Just 2 one way and back. Now 2 the other. Forwards, kick it back, reach. Forwards, kick it back, reach. Bring that foot down. Feel for the sole of the foot. Shorten the underside waist again. Could you get one more sneaky little plank in? And then bring it down. Don't add the planks if you don't want to. All the way back up and over. And take that lovely stretch. And then we come all the way back up again. And we're going to do exactly the same on the other side. So knee comes down. Pause. Taking now both hands on top of each other. You're going to laterally flex to the new side. Really feel that waist working. You're going to slowly from there allow this hand to begin to come down. You can feel that this knee starts to reach away from you. Remember, you can have blocks. You can have anything that assists you. Remember, this forearm is always pulling back and up to alleviate any pressure in the wrists, spread all the weight through 5 fingers. And you're thinking about being so lifted through the underside waist that you could almost lift that knee off. My big toe is level with that underside knee. And then we're just going to pop that foot off, tuck the foot behind if you can. This is one cheeky little plank. Bringing that knee underneath you. You can leave these planks out if you wish. And then slowly decide what you're going to do with this hand. It might be better here, here, but if you can, we keep it behind the head. Are you still lifted through the waist? As we lift, and we lower, and we lift, and we lower. Just doing 4, lift, lower, lift, and lower. And on this next one, we're going to hold it here. Hold and breathe. And we're going to bring it forwards and back, forwards and back. We can flex forwards, point back if you wish. Flex forwards, point back. And then we're going to move that into a little bicycle where we come forwards, reach and back. Forwards, reach it out and back. We go the other way, forwards, back and reach. Forwards, back and reach. And then slowly from there, allow your foot to come down. Lift that waist. You don't have to do this one if you don't want to. Lift, lift, lift and hold. Keep that waist lifted, bringing it down, all the way back up and coming all the way up to come over. All the way back up and down and rest down onto your knees. We're going to come down onto our backs. So we'll just take almost a little break on our backs. You're going to curl your tail underneath you as you bring it all the way down sequentially. And I want you just to keep your knees fairly close together. Think about the position of your feet together. And you could take your arms to either a capital E or a T position, or even behind your head if you wished. Up to you. And I want you just to very gently glue those legs together and very subtly start to roll your legs a little across to one side. Back to center. Roll a little across to the other side. Now I'm keeping the range really small initially, just as I allow the muscles to get used to a different plane of movement. And I want you to also think about, you've been wrapped in cling film from heel to hip. So I am allowing my top foot to be lifted by the underside foot. The knees remain absolutely level, and with every repetition, I'm getting a little bigger in my range. And bear in mind, this is not your pelvis, this is not your lumbar spine that is creating the rotation. This is your low, middle back. Your upper spine, your upper middle back, trying to stay really stable if you can. And we just get bigger and bigger with this. But remember, stability through the upper body. And then slowly from there, we're going to pause. I am going to take the hands now behind the middle skull. Maybe you were there already. And I now want you just to allow yourself to take your legs across to one side. Make sure you don't fall off your mat. And just allow your elbows to come over to touch. And then we're going to leave the knees pretty much where they are and just allow yourself to bring it open. And then bringing it to the closed position, and then bringing it to open. If your knees lift a little, that's fine. And again, bringing it down, and bringing it open. And then I'm going to bring my knees around, make sure that I don't fall off the mat. And I roll my legs a little across to the other side, and really feel that lovely stretch. Taking now my elbow over, and my elbow opens. Over and elbow opens. Keep length through your top seat bone all the time. To the side and open. And again, you could roll a couple of times side to side with your knees again. We're just keeping that spine moving. And then pause. So whenever you're ready from here, we're going to think about rolling our legs a little across to one side. And I need you to be comfortable like that. We're going to do some little chest lifts in this position. So from here, elbows will come into peripheral vision. And just as you would a regular chest lift, we're just going to lift up and bring it back down. Don't pull on your neck, just come as far as your spine allows you to flex. Try keep pushing that top seat bone away from you. So look at your knees, make sure you've not got one knee back like this. You could always put a cushion in between your knees. And we'll lift for 4 and down. So our focus now is into our waist. 5 and down. And 6, we're going to do 10 and down. 7 and down, I'm not rushing these. 8 and down. And 9 and down. Really think about your form. 10 and down. Bring it all the way back. And on this next one, we do exactly the same. Just reposition yourself so you feel really comfortable, not collapsed in the waist. Push this top seat bone away from you. Try and make sure that your knees are as stacked as they can be. And then we lift for 10 and down. 9 and down. 8 and down. 7 and down. 6 and down. Feel that waist working and down. And down. We'll do 3 more. And down. Keep the seat bones pushed away from you. Just 1 more. Lift, 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 lift. And lower. Bringing it all the way back onto your back. Just let your arms come out to the side for a moment. It might be that you just let your hips relax for a moment. Big inhale. Exhale. And then I want you to bring your feet back to a nice base 100 position. You're going to allow your arms to come down by your sides. And we're going to do a very gentle version of our chest lift. So I'm going to create a tiny bit of length at the back of the neck. Peel my head, neck and chest and slide my hands away from me. And all the way back down. And again, you can always put your hands behind your middle skull if you wish. Lift. So I want you to have that sensation of reaching your fingertips. So it's almost as though they are assisting with your chest lift. And all the way back down. We've got 1 more. Lift, 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 lift. And all the way down. So now we're going to do exactly the same, but this time it's going to be to the side. So it's a little sort of lateral flexion while we do a chest lift. If you would prefer, you can take your opposite hand behind your head. So I have my left arm down, my right arm behind my head. And I'm going to just lift my head, neck and chest a little, not excessively so, neutral spine or thereabouts. And I'm going to slide to the side and back. And again, I'm not keeping my hand on the floor. And back. You can, if you prefer, slide and back. Now I'm not letting my opposite hip hike. So I'm almost pushing my right seat bone away from me and back. We'll call this one 5 and back. It's a very gentle chest lift and back. We'll do 5 more and back. 4 more and back. Imagine still that sensation of being drawn by the fingertips. 2 more and back. 1 more and back. Both hands behind the head. Let yourself come all the way down. Make sure there's no tension anywhere. I'm going to leave the left hand now and take my right hand down by the floor. A gentle lengthen at the back of the neck. Pick the head, neck and chest up. Watch you're not flattening your back out. And we come across to the side and back. Imagine you're reaching. You should feel your waist working here. This is 3 and back. 4 and back. 5 and back. We've got 5 more and back. 4 more. Try and put sort of less work into it and think about the form more. 3 more. Now remember, when I go to the right, I'm almost pushing my opposite seat bone away from me. We just have 2 more and back. Last one and back. Let your head, neck and chest come down. Perhaps bring your legs in one at a time. Maybe a little hug, maybe a couple of thigh bone circles one way and then a couple the other way. It's always a lovely way to release your back. Maybe just a hug in is nice for you. A big inhale and shoulders relax and exhale. So we're going to allow ourselves now to come onto our sides. So we're going to work again the waist, but this time on our sides. Just as we always say, up to you where you put your hand. It can be here, pillows, cushions, books under here. Perhaps here with a slight lift. If you really have to be, up onto your hand like so. I really don't mind. It's most important that you are comfortable. And so from here we're going to reach our legs out beautifully long and lengthened, preferably directly underneath us. If that is just impossible balance-wise, bring them ever so slightly in front of you. Now we can have our top hand in front, gently. You can have it on your top hip, gently. Obviously that is more challenging. Top seat bone still pushing away from you. Now imagine a rope tied around your ankles. And as I pull that rope, we're going to lift both legs up and lower down. Think less about your feet and more about your thigh bones. And again, we're going to lift and lower. Just because of time, we're just going to do 5 of each of these. Now with my hand onto my waist, I can feel those waist muscles working. Lift, 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 lower, lower, lower. Now we're going to lift them both as high as we can. Elevate slightly your top leg. Push that top seat bone and thigh bone away from you. And now just the bottom leg lowers and lifts. Lowers and lifts. There's no tension in your neck. You can always have your hand in front, remember. Are you breathing? Are the bottom ribs in? Is the chin not clamped towards the chest? Make sure there's no tension in your upper body. Lift. Feel that underside inner thigh doing the work. And last one, pause. Now we're going to come into an external rotation. Elevate both legs. Feel the external rotation, possibly a little flexion of both ankles. Lower the underside. Lift it up. Keep the external rotation of both. Lift up. Lower. Make sure you're not lifting with your neck. Lift, lift, lift. Lower. Last one. Lift, lift, lift. And lower. And back to parallel. And we're going to do a little scissor here. You might want your hand in front. And a scissor. And a scissor. And a scissor. What is your top shoulder doing? Scissor. And I'm really thinking about a big ice cube underneath my waist throughout to keep that top hip pushed away from you. Scissor and scissor. We'll do 2 and 2 and 1 and 1. Pause. Bring your legs down. Allow yourself just to let them come in for a moment as you push yourself all the way up. Any opportunity just to take another little stretch. Hold, pull, a tiny rotation towards the floor. Lift up, a rotation towards the ceiling. All the way back, and we'll spin it around and do exactly the same on the other side. We are nearly done. So from here, outstretched arm, or whatever suits you, perhaps a little bent, perhaps it's in front, perhaps you're leaning on your hand. And you're going to push those legs away from you. Top hand, perhaps on this top hip. Careful of your chin, just as you were doing your lateral flexions, the space between chin and chest. And then slowly from there, visualize that rope around your ankles. And as I pull it, it's going to lift, 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 lift. And lower back down. You're working from the thigh bones, not from your feet, remember. And still you can feel that waist working. We're only doing 5, don't rush them. Check in with your upper body. Is it tense? Are you gripping? Is perhaps the arm position not good for you? Lift and lower. We'll just do one more. Lift, 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 and lower. And then we're going to hold them up there. Upper leg just lifts a little tiny touch as we lower the underside, lift the underside. lower it and lift it. Keep length in the tail, lift, lower, lift, lower, lift, lower, lift, lower, and lift. We'll just do one more, and lift, hold, spin them both into an external rotation, flex your feet, lift them both, top leg lifts a little, lower, and lift, lower, and lift. That is a hard one, lower, and lift. We'll do two more, lift, one more, lift, hold, let them come down. Then you're going to just parallel the legs again, perhaps bring your hand in front, and we move into a little scissor, and scissor, scissor, scissor. It's very hard to get that back leg to push back. Just be careful you don't overdo the range on the front, and scissor. We'll do two, and one, and one. Bringing it in, down, and slowly from there, can we just bring ourselves onto our stomachs? Rest down here just for a moment. Winding down, let those back muscles just loosen off for a moment. And with your thigh bones directly underneath your hip sockets, bend one knee gently. As long as your knees are healthy, you can hold onto your foot. And I want you to think about your pubic bone getting a little more weighted. The thigh bone on the bent knee side reaches away from you. If the knee is healthy, you can pull the foot in a little more if you wish. And if you wish, you can just lift a little more that thigh bone up in towards your hamstring. And then slowly release it. Let me just show you an option if it isn't possible to do that. You can just simply lift and lengthen your thigh bone. You'll still get that lovely extension through your hip and lower. And again, the other side, if you can bend the knee, hold on to the toes. Really feel that lovely length through your thigh bone. Pubic bone is weighted. Be really careful that your knee isn't out of alignment with your hip socket. If the knee is healthy, pull in that little bit more. Relax your shoulders, by the way. Pubic bone heavy. And you can lift that thigh bone up a little and push it away a touch. And then slowly allow it to come all the way back down. Just move a little from left to right, make sure all feels nice and comfortable. And the last little thing we're going to do is just a baby swan, just to get the back really moving nicely. So I like taking my hands now so that they are level with about my shoulders. And then I'm going to do my swan from there. But if that doesn't work for you, you're very welcome to take them off the mat a little more in front of you, because that's obviously going to reduce the amount of extension that you will achieve throughout the spine. And if it's really difficult for you, this is going to be a bit easier. Remember, you can always do a little baby dart if this is easier, if hands can't come above your head. But if we can, we're going to bring those hands onto the mat, level with about the shoulder, the top of the shoulder. And I want you to feel those lovely long thigh bones that you stretched a moment ago. I want you to allow your head, neck and chest to lift up a little. Now your eyes have to move forwards. Imagine two clutch bags under your armpits, elbows pushed towards the end of your mat. Pubic bone gets a little heavier. We push into the mat, shortening that middle upper back, and really feel yourself lift up. Take a little bend into your elbows as you bring it all the way back down. We're doing fours, so we've got 3 more. Head, neck and chest lifts. Think about the clutch bags under your armpits, newspapers perhaps. Push your elbows away from your eyes, come forwards. They have to come forwards as you draw the bottom ribs forwards and up, and the pubic bone is weighted. Bend your elbows to bring it all the way back down. Just 2 more. Head, neck and chest comes up, elbows are reaching long and lengthened, pubic bone is weighted. Eyes have to come forwards. Really feel those ribs come forwards and up as your pubic bone is weighted. And slowly, all the way back down. Last one. So the newspapers under the armpits, the clutch bags, whatever visualization works, lift your head, neck and chest. Are you breathing? As you allow your arms to come forwards, your pubic bone is heavy, the middle upper back shortens. Really feel that whole spine working and bring it all the way back down. Hands to armpits, push all the way up. Bring your knees a little more underneath you and just rest down if it feels okay to you onto your feet. If that is not good, stay into your cat stretch and Blackpool donkey. But if you can, we'll walk the hands around. We're just thinking about those lateral muscles again. Lifting your seat bone up and over your heel. Drop your armpit down a little. Be careful of your neck. And then bringing your arms around to the other side. Lift the seat bone up and over the outside edge of that heel. Dropping a little down with that armpit to really feel that stretch. And then slowly hands back to box. Stabilize your shoulders if you feel okay doing this upside down V. Push one heel down, spike the seat bone, switch just once, push both down. And if you can, walk your feet to your hands to your feet. Hang. Big inhale. And as you exhale, slowly restack low back, middle back, upper back, and eyes. Lift your arms, reach all the way down. And thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed that, and I'll be back really soon. Any comments, email me, anything that you would like to be working on. It's always really useful to have a little bit of a nudge as to what you might be looking for in the next video. But until then, take care. Bye.